Welcome to another episode of Declutter Advice Needed. My name is Rachel and I'm your host, and this podcast is designed to support you on your decluttering journey. Listen while you're cleaning or sorting out areas of your home to help you feel inspired and motivated to keep going. Living with less gives you more time, energy, and money for the things that really matter to you. We're going to cover advice requests, success stories, and motivational tips and tricks. So get yourself settled in an area, grab yourself a cuppa, and let's talk. As always, we will start with an advice request, and this one is titled, Who Else Grew Up Poor and Feel Guilt When Decluttering? I threw out some old essential oils that were gifted to me and felt guilty because they have been a luxury item growing up. My old mindset would have been to use it to the very last drop by adding it to a cleaning routine and then clean out the bottle and keep it for something. I was able to toss them out, but felt guilty, and I know this is probably keeping me from decluttering as much as I'd like. I do my best to donate and recycle what I can, but not everything can be. Who else is like this? What helps you? I definitely get this sentiment, the idea that anything that is a luxury is worth keeping and keeping every part of it. Like I used to keep bottles or boxes and things like that just in case I needed them. And it ends up getting to a point where you are overrun with those things that you can't then deal with the actual stuff that you wanted to deal with. And that was probably your intention in the first place. But you don't need to feel guilty. I think doing the right thing as much as you can by donating and recycling is really great, and that is doing things as sustainably as you can without putting the pressure on having to keep everything or do everything correctly. I think that's enough, and know that that's enough. Let's have a look at some of the responses. One of the top comments says, I grew up welfare poor, 2 adults and 6 kids in a 2-bed trailer. My mother was a hoarder, so I have the other problem. I probably toss more than I should. With that said, you sound like you still hold a scarcity mindset. The only thing I could possibly offer as advice is to put items you'd like to donate or dispose of into a box and place it somewhere where you can store it. Identify the items clearly on the box with a list of whatever attached. Then in your phone, make a date maybe 3 to 6 months from now as a reminder to recheck the box. If you haven't needed, touched, or thought about those items, toss or donate. When it comes to repurposing stuff, I do that a lot. I'll move home decor around to give a new look, etc., before donating or wanting something new. If you have items like oils, etc., find a way to make them into a cleaning spray by the same methods above. Put it in your calendar, maybe a week or 2 away, and say, make lavender spray. If in 2 weeks you don't want to do it, toss it. You don't have to feel guilty, it's just a a reality check, or what you really will or won't use, which I think is a really good point. I think you're giving yourself the opportunity to do something with it, and if you don't after 3 to 6 months when you check back in with those items, you've given yourself that freedom to let go. Another comment said, yes, but it's because of the emotional attachments to the items and or the price that I paid that tries to get me. Growing up without a lot of money or stuff and working hard to earn everything I've gotten, hubby also, it's difficult to let go of the money that was spent on the items I'm giving away. What's helped me is motivation to have a clearer space, and we are moving, not just across town, but across the country. Hubby isn't quite a hoarder, but he's a collector, and all of his collections must go with us. Regardless of the fact that the collections are in boxes and closets and he doesn't enjoy them being out and displayed. And there was only so much room in a moving truck, but that's him. I found it super easy to keep my house clean now that there's less stuff in it for showings and potential buyers, and it's very easy to see how much actual space there is in my house. I think a lot of the comments are in agreement that actually you're not alone, it's okay, but you don't need to feel that guilt. I think having that purpose of wanting a clearer, tidier, easier space to manage is your motivator, and that's your release from that guilt. But I think it is really common to feel like that. Our next advice request is titled Closet Clean Out Help. We had a closet shelf break, and what a blessing. I moved everything out and I'm slowly reorganising now that it's fixed. Just donated 2 bags of work clothes that do not fit my post-kid body, trying to only keep one type of thing. For example, I had 3 V-neck black sleeveless tops. One is definitely the best in terms of quality and fit, so the other 2 were donated. I'm also trying to make outfits, not just have random items. How do you select tees, blazers, hoodies? These are my next 3 sections. Pants and skirts were easy as I either fit them or not, and some of the skirts were just not my style anymore. It can be difficult with t-shirts. I think a lot of people have particular memories attached to things. Either they're bought from events or concerts, or they are particular motifs. I think you need to decide what your style is. If you like wording, if you like patterns, if you like a mixture. So I would lay all of them out, put like ones together. So put any concert t-shirts together, put any worded t-shirts together, any plain t-shirts together, and then reduce down from there. Because if you know, for example, you've got 3 navy t-shirts, you can reduce down. Let's have a look at the comments. The top comment says, I always recommend doing some basic wardrobe work. Everything is objectively good. If you didn't like it, you probably wouldn't have bought it. But if you can figure out what your personal good feels like, it can be easier to let go of subjectively wrong stuff, like unflattering colours or scratchy, unpleasant fabric, knits too small or large gauge, too short or too long, unflattering, uncomfortable silhouettes. Doesn't project your preferred or signature style or look, not your preferred fabric, content, etc. In a lot of cases, you don't really have to try anything on. I've always gravitated to a uniform. I suppose that could be interpreted as having a very strong sense of my personal style, but I'm lazy and don't want to think about it too much, and I get dressed in the dark half of the time. When I was downsizing my closet, like 75% before a move, I established my subjective criteria and used it to purge out a ton of clothes. Then I started laying out my outfits into a wardrobe, Sudoku cluster style template. My number was 8 everyday work casual outfits, 1 a week plus an extra for laundry day or whoops. It really helped to have what I now know was a limit, so I could force myself to decide which ones I liked best. I cheated a bit and added a few extra tops for variety, and also have an extra row or square for dress along with top and bottoms. So I have way more than I technically need, but enough to make me feel like I have plenty. There was one colour that I couldn't Sudoku with the rest, but I hated to get rid of it completely, so I made myself a got up on the wrong side of the bed red, not my best colour, mini capsule that immediately cheers me up. I really love that idea. I think having capsule wardrobes and doing dopamine dressing where you dress to feel good is a really lovely idea. So that's a good way to keep some of those I really want to keep items. In addition to my everyday clothes, I have workout and gym capsule, a formal mini capsule, and mini capsules for other specialised activities like sleeping, lounging, dirty work, swimming, cycling, etc. The best part of attacking my clothes in this way is that it brought a lot of logic to the extremely emotional downsizing process. I know I don't have anything that I subjectively don't like, doesn't flatter, and I know I have enough or just enough clothes, outerwear, footwear, accessories to get me through my normal laundry cycle. Every season, every weather condition, if I buy something new, it's usually to replace something that's getting worn out. And by including an actual loungewear pyjamas capsule, I don't end up with a bunch of random not good enough to wear outside but good enough for inside clothes. Those end up in the rag or the trash. I think that's really great advice. I think working out some mini capsules for different purposes can help you really narrow things down and feel like it's meaningful and useful, so that you've actually got combinations of outfits that you've already kind of pre-designed that will work for you. Another suggestion is to use the reverse hanger method. I set it up on New Year so that I didn't have that long. So far, it's taught me that I do not like V-necks as we move towards the end of winter, here in Georgia at least. I've realised that though I do like what I have, I tend to wear the same few items. those will probably be let go of before spring comes. And I think that's really valid. I've done that technique and it works really well. Having the hangers placed the wrong way, and when you put an item back, you put it the right way in so that you can really see what you've used in a period of time. So you could wait for like 3 to 6 months and then see how much you've used certain items and which things you completely ignore. Because there will be lots of items that you don't reach for. And that's a really good way of identifying them without having to do too much thinking about it. You can come back to it and review. Let's talk some success stories. And this one is titled I Decluttered, Threw Out, Donated, Gave Away 435 items in January and February combined. I saw a year-end tally of someone on this subreddit that said that they used a counting app to keep track of each item they got rid of and got inspired to do the same. For Jan and Feb, I decluttered 435 items. Some were big things, some small. I count every item as one. The number kept driving me. I've never kept a New Year's resolution this long, and I think it's a habit now. I already have 3 ticks for March. That's so good. I love that idea of counting everything. I think that's why lots of people like the 30-day minimalism game, because you are counting a certain number of items and it keeps you motivated, and you know that you're gonna, within a month, let go of 465 items. It's a really good way of doing it. But I love that. And lots of support in the comments. That is awesome. You should definitely be proud. I love to think about just getting rid of 10 things a week. And after a year, it would be 520 items. Then I think about the fact that I don't need to wait for a whole year and get rid of them now. There's definitely motivation in knowing your numbers. Lots of people are saying that they've also just had a big clear out and wish they'd done that. So yeah, good idea to track it and see how much you're letting go of. And it also highlights how much stuff you have that you really aren't using, and that is taking up such valuable space in your home. So it's really worth thinking about that, and it's a nice way to reflect. Okay, the second success story is titled Junk Journaling with Papers Collected from Travel. I love to travel and I often bring home brochures, receipts, tickets, etc. as souvenirs, but my collection has been getting out of hand, making it hard to go through when I wanted to reminisce. So when someone I follow on YouTube posted a video about their travel junk journal, I thought it was a neat idea. 1 week, one journal, most of a glue stick, and a whole lot of washi tape later, I was successfully able to contain my collection and present it beautifully. I cut out parts of brochures I wanted to display or use as backdrops, recycling what I didn't use and laying out everything flat on the journal pages made the resulting stack more compact. I store my journal in the same box that I kept the paper collection, and there's so much more room in there now. And it was fun. It was a creative process with the brochures and other handouts beautifully designed by professionals. The pages look really nice without a ton of effort. Really proud of what I made. I love that. I feel like I missed an opportunity to do that. I haven't printed out all of my travel photos and things like that, and I just love looking back. And I think that's such a good idea to do a junk journal and just have pages and stick things together. I used to do that as part of like a bullet journal, but I've got out of practice of that just because of fatigue and just other priorities. But I think that's a great way. Let's have a look at some of the comments. I've started junk journaling too. It's a mostly minimal clutter hobby though. I have amassed more pens and washi tape than one probably needs, but compared to other hobbies I have or have had, it's much more manageable. Whenever I receive a cool letter in the mail, I save the stamps to put in my journal, which is fun. Mine is half normal journal and half junk journal, and it's a really fun hobby. A few people are asking for some pictures. And there are some links on this one if you do want to click in and find it. But I think it's just a really great idea of displaying your memories in a nice, fun way. I think it's kind of a lost art now that we post everything to social media, that we don't actually do those kind of creative things like we used to. Because I remember doing this as a child, making little books and diaries and sticking things in. Like, it's a really nice way to process where you've been, what happened, how you felt in a healthy way. And I think we've lost some of that in modern times. Yeah, a few people have said I'm definitely a child of the digital age and keep my photos largely in Google Photos. But you've just reminded me that I have some physical ones that need to be scanned into there, and then I need to print some again to add to the travel journal. I definitely feel like I need to get a travel journal started, so I might look into that and get myself a nice bullet journal that I can junk journal in. I think that would be fun. Somebody else says I do the same. I even make the book covers out of cardboard things I've saved. It's a great way to repurpose unnecessary clutter into something that both preserves it and forces you to go through it. Yeah, love that. And making a book cover. Let's have a look at some tips for success. And this is titled Shifting My Mindset, Our House is Enough. I've been on a massive declutter after basically having a meltdown in January. I was so ashamed of my house and how I could ever have anyone over. When I was a kid, I was always so upset that we couldn't have people over because of living in a hoarder house. And then found myself in basically the same situation. My house was too cluttered, which made it really, really hard to actually clean, and then I was too ashamed to have people over. Someone told me in one of my mum groups that my kids deserved better, and that hit hard. They were right. My husband and I kept saying, we need to move, we don't have enough room for all of this stuff. One day, though, I said, families make it work in tiny apartments, and we have a 3-bedroom house. We should be able to make this work. I got rid of serving stuff since we haven't hosted now that I have 2 toddlers. I got rid of 12 wine glasses. My husband and I don't drink. I still have 8 that need to go. I got rid of 70 toys and sets of toys. I got rid of all the hand-me-downs my siblings forced on me that I would have to store for a decade before it would be useful for my kids. I got rid of all the cleaning supplies I keep around because I spent money on them and always tell myself I need to use them but never did. I got rid of the stupid amount of stained throw pillows in my living room. Toddlers and throw pillows aren't a great mix. I got rid of the brand new unopened carpet cleaner that we've had sitting on the husband's office for 5 years. We don't have carpet anymore. Most importantly, I got rid of the idea that I needed more space for my stuff. I needed less stuff for my space. My kids deserve to have space to play. They deserve to not be stressed in their own home. They deserve to be able to have play dates here. They deserve a home that is catered to them and their needs and not the special needs of stuff. That's so important to recognise. We get so hung up on having so much space or wanting a bigger home because our family is growing. But there are absolutely people around the world that live in smaller places and are happy and enjoy it and make it work, even though it's a small space. There are so many things that you don't need in your everyday life that we hold on to. And it's time to reflect and think about what we really want from our homes and our spaces. And actually, we want to be able to enjoy it. We want to be able to have those experiences, the conversations, the interactions. And sometimes stuff can be a hindrance to that. If you don't have the space and you don't feel comfortable having people over, you're really limiting your daily activities sometimes. It means that you always have to go out to socialise, and that can become more expensive. And you're restricting the interactions of your children. Like, there is a huge impact which doesn't need to happen. And it's so easy to get into that scenario, especially if you've grown up in a house of hoarding. But the important thing is that they've recognised it and they have made that change and they are ready to do the right thing for themselves and their family. And now they're in a position where they can just enjoy. And I think they should be so proud of that. And this has been really inspiring for others. One of the comments says, after reading this, I am committing to getting rid of 10 things today and at least 2 things every day for 7 days. My husband is a hoarder and retrieves what I am going to give or throw away. I have to hide what I'm discarding. We're 82 and 81, live in an overstuffed house. What do we really need? And I'm embarrassed to have people in the house. Somebody else has said, I finally realised that my kids will not want any of the stuff I've been holding on to, including photos. As the oldest, I am the keeper of memories my siblings were too young to remember, and I finally realised don't care about. I am going to look into organisations that might appreciate photos of forgotten times, otherwise, out they go. Somebody has suggested that you could also get them scanned and put on a hard drive, which I think is a great idea if you're worried about losing the actual photos. Somebody else has said, a reminder for myself when I find myself wishing I was in a bigger place already. Starting to properly declutter our small home has made me appreciate the space we do have so much more. It's about being grateful and appreciative of everything you do have and do want to keep, but also being okay with letting go of the excess. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Remember, decluttering is a journey, not a quick fix. Regular decluttering habits are key. Always look to monitor the amount you have and being aware of the space occupied. The less you have, the easier it is to manage. And that is what we want, a nice, carefree, easy to manage space so that we can focus in on the experiences.